Howdy folks, Marvin Forte here, your KFNW Director and the host of the KFNW Current. Thanks for joining me tonight on episode 16. I've got a few guests joining me tonight. We're going to do a recap of Banks Lake. We're going to do a little recap of ICAST. We're going to talk about the Summer Opens and the Flying Kayak Open coming up, and a few other little tidbits of info that I've got to share with you. So tonight I'll have Brandon Hua with me talking about ICAST. And then I'll have the 4 podium winners from Banks Lake: Scott Samson, Brandon Henning, Will Raymond, and Jesse Brummett. With that, let's jump right into it. As always, if you go to the Facebook page and comment there, I can see those comments and I'll post them and we'll react. Or maybe not, depending on what you say. Okay, so let's start with a primer for what's coming up. We've got 4 Summer Opens that are happening on August 8th. The IKBF Summer Open is going to be on Hagerman. The OKBF Summer Open is going to be on Crane Prairie Reservoir. We haven't been there in about 3 years, I guess, because we've kind of outgrown it for our tour events, but I think it's a great location for the Summer Open. And it's a little cooler up there at elevation, so it's a good place to go this time of year. The fishing can be tough in the deep summer, but it should be good. And Hagerman definitely should be good. That place always fishes well. We've done many IKBF tour events there in the past. And then the WKBF Summer Open in the East is going to be Newman Lake. We fished a WKBF tour event there a few years ago, and it fished really well. It's got some big fish in it. So we might see some serious numbers on that one. That should be a good event. And then the WKBF Summer Open in the West is Lake Sammamish. We did do something there, I think like some sort of open quite a few years ago, but we've never done a tour event there, and it'll be a nice test to see how that one goes. It's a good size lake, the biggest lake really on the west side other than, Lake Washington. But yeah, I'm hoping that one goes well. These will all be a shotgun start, and they're all team events, just like our Spring Open. So if you are interested in getting into tournament kayak fishing, this is a great way to get started. It's a low barrier to get in. It's only $25 for these, and then another $10 if you want to do the big bass side pot. So it's not a lot of money. And what we do with this is sort of a pro-am style. So we pair the less experienced anglers with the more experienced anglers and put them out there as a 2-person team. And we sort of set aside our rules about assistance. The teammates and even other teams can assist, can help you, can help you get your photos, help show you how to take a good photo of the fish and how to get them uploaded on TourneyX. All those things to teach you how to do it. It's a little more of a fun event. It is competitive, and we do have winners, and we do give out prizes, cash and trophy for the champion, and cash for some of the other people. And we've got some giveaways from some of our great sponsors that we'll be handing out at the Opens as well. So I encourage you to sign up, whether you're a veteran KFNW angler, somebody who's just done 1 or 2, or somebody who is brand new and hasn't tried it before. This is the perfect event to test it out, see how you like it. And then on August 9th, we've got the Flying Kayak Open on Davis Lake in Oregon. So Davis Lake is about 15 minutes away from Crane Prairie Reservoir. So it's we've got sort of a double header for that weekend. We'll do Crane Prairie on Saturday for the Summer Open, and then Sunday we'll go over to Davis Lake for the Flying Kayak Open. That is a fly fishing only kayak bass tournament. So it's kind of unique. I don't know of anybody else who's doing that. It's a lot of fun. The lake has a lot of bass in it, and it's usually not hard to catch them. The last time we did that event at Davis. We had somewhere around 20-something anglers, and everyone caught a limit. We had a limit of 3, and every single angler got a limit. So this year, I think I'm going to bump it up to 5, a limit of 5. That'll help with, making it a little tougher, make the people who can get more than 3 fish have a little better shot. And there's some big fish in it too. I personally have caught a couple of, like 18s, 19s in there. There are some big bass in it. It's very clear water. It's a natural lake that was formed when a lava flow ran right through the creek. And so it's a shallow, clear lake. You can see the fish usually, which that makes it a little tough. If you can't cast a little further, it can be kind of tough because the fish are spooky there because they can see you. But it's got lava fields around it and lots of grass, tules and reeds. So it's a lot of fun. We've got a fly rod that we're giving away, courtesy of G.Loomis. Can't wait to see somebody win that one. Kenny Huss says excited for Crane and Davis. He's going to be fishing both of those too, so that's great. Is this your first Flying Kayak Open, Kenny? Or did you fish it one time, the last time we were on Davis? I don't remember. But he's definitely fished Crane, and he's fished a lot of other events with us in Oregon, so it'll be good to see Kenny out there. And Jesse's pulling double duty. He's in the green room here, and he's saying, let's go. We're already going. What are you talking about? So the Flying Kayak Open is $50 entry fee, so still not a lot of money. And the great thing is all of these events, the Summer Opens and the Flying Kayak Open, they have the word open in the title. And that means you don't need a KFNW membership. You can sign up to fish. No membership needed. Come on out. Kenny says, yep, it is. First time Flying Kayak Open. That's great. Looking forward to it. And Jesse says he's going to be doing it as well. So looking forward to seeing you out there, Jesse. What else? So you can go to the website and look at our schedule. We've got the tour events and the classic up at the top on the website. Let me go ahead and show you that real quick. Boop, boop, boop. There's the web page. So there's our 6 tour events, or 5 tour events and the classic. And then right below that is our full live event schedule. And you can see down here near the bottom is the 4 Summer Opens and the Flying Kayak Open. And there's a detail link for each one that will give you details about the event. Here's Hagerman. There's a photo of the launch there at Hagerman. It's got your schedule. It's got all the details about the location. All these are shotgun start, so that's where your launch will be up there. All the basics about the event. And we've got that for each of them. And then the Flying Kayak Open. This is a great video. Take a look at this if you get a chance. It'll blow your mind. Fly fishing for some giant largemouth on Davis Lake about 10 or 11 years ago. This video is a little older, and the secret wasn't out as much about Davis back then, so it was easier to catch those real giants. There's still some in there, but yeah, that video is a blast to watch. I recommend you go take a look at it. And the others, all pretty much the same with all these others. There's Crane Prairie. It's a beautiful lake. Crane is gorgeous. But yeah, all the same stuff for each of these. So yeah, go take a look. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, just go ahead and sign up, and look forward to seeing you at the event. All right, for our next segment, let's bring on our old friend, Brandon Hua. Brandon.
Hello, hello.
Good to see you, my friend. I didn't get to see you this past weekend. What's up with that?
I know, it feels weird. It was kind of fun to sit back and take a look at Tourney X, and see all the fish come up on the board. That was
Nice.
cool. And I was always, because I know that the wind was supposed to pick up for you guys on
Yeah,
over the weekend. So I
we'll
was
talk
like,
about that for
all right,
sure
let's
when
see,
it gets
either
past home.
bigger fish are going to show up or we're going to see things slow down. But it didn't look like anything slowed down at all. So that was cool.
There's a lot of fish. It was a whole heck of a lot of
Mhm.
fish caught. So yeah, it worked out well. So I'm here to talk to you about ICAST. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go this year. I was planning to go, but couldn't do it. And I did go last year, and it was a blast. I got
Mhm.
to introduce the hammer and meet a bunch of people that I knew online but hadn't met in person before, and that's always fun. So tell us,
Yeah.
and this is your how many was this for you? Is this your third one?
Fourth,
Fourth one? Okay,
I think so. Yeah.
great. Well, tell us a little bit about your overall impression of ICAST this year. What did you think? And then we'll dig into like some of the products and things that you saw and and liked there.
Yeah. Well, I guess every year in Orlando, the humidity is just awful. Last year it wasn't as bad. Last year it was like mid to high 80s, but this year it was like 95 every single day. So I usually fly in on Mondays, and Tuesday is like on the water demo days. So it's like my first day out for ICAST in Orlando is in the heat and the sun and the humidity. So that's always rough. But I mean, ICAST is, I feel like it's the same thing every year. It's more, it's an industry event. So it's like you got the corporate level people, you got, all the fishing pros, influencers, media, all that stuff. It's really business like focus, I guess you can say,
Definitely.
it's where like a lot of people's contracts get done or at least gets discussed. Talk about brand partnerships, all that, a lot of networking. So um, that aspect of it is always the same. It's funny, a lot of people are calling it, um, what was it, like iQuakey or Quakey Fest or whatever you want to
It
call it.
was. It
There
was
was
a
a
little
few
bit.
purchases dropped, and there was actually a lot that was supposed to be dropped, but companies had like prototypes and stuff like behind closed doors to show it off because they couldn't get it done in time. So you're probably looking at like Bassmaster Classic releases. So there was
Sure.
supposed to be a whole lot more that I heard of. But yeah, I mean it's fun. It's cool. You obviously you get to see the products, but like the show is so huge, like you don't get a chance to walk throughout the whole thing. And even though like I have set schedules to be in the Torquedo booth, like and I have time to walk around, you always get like stopped at like at a booth for talking to people, and all that stuff. Like I didn't even get a chance to walk the whole show. um, but it's cool to go to like the best of show showcase. You can go there and see like everybody who submitted something, and they just have like shelves of like all the new products and stuff. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's cool. There's a lot of kayak stuff dropped, some exciting stuff, a bunch of just random accessories and stuff that I'm like, ooh, wish I can get one of those right now. Yeah, and we'll talk about that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's fun. I mean, you get to see everybody. Steve Harvey has been in like the fishing industry a whole bunch recently with Bill
Yeah.
Dance. So like Steve Harvey's walking around, obviously Bill Dance. Obviously you see everybody else, Scott Martin, Jacob Wheeler, everybody. So it's cool. You get to watch, you see everybody gets the behind the scenes. It's funny. They act a certain way in front of the camera and then pull the camera away, and they're just normal people. So it's fun.
Yeah, I learned that with a there was a guy who had a TV show back in Arizona that I used to watch, and he was just such a character on that show. And a buddy of mine fished a tournament with him, a pro am kind of tournament, and he's famous for his laugh. He's got this like kind of laugh. And my buddy said as soon as the whistle went off and it was time to launch, he was just all freaking game face and serious as hell about fishing.
Yeah,
He was hardcore, just demanding. It was funny. He was a completely different person.
yeah, yeah. It's always funny to see just the change in personality. People talk about TV personality and stuff like that. It's like how people are in front of the camera and then pull the camera away and it's just totally different.
Yeah,
Hmm.
not us though.
So about products. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of stuff. That's the part about ICAST. It's a big media thing. What's something that you saw that you're like, ooh, that's pretty cool?
The XTR 140 was pretty cool.
Hmm.
That was pretty interesting. And I have kind of an inside with Native. I'm usually working on the stuff that's coming out from them, but I don't get any intel about Bonafide.
Yeah.
So I had no idea that was coming out. Although you may remember at ICAST last year, I predicted that Bonafide would have a pedal kayak this year because Hans, the designer for Bonafide, he designed the X-Range drive that was on the Hammer. That was the first kayak to use it. And I said, there's
Hmm.
no way Hans is going to design that new cool drive and not put
Yeah.
it in a kayak, a Bonafide kayak. So I was right about that. But of course, I had no idea what kayak it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that they were gonna drop something new, and they did a couple like little teasers like before iCast and all that.
Yeah,
And then
saw
when I
that.
got there, I heard like, oh, it's between a PWR and an XTR, and I was like, wait, hold up. I'm like, that's kind of like what I've been wanting. And then I saw it, and I was like, this thing's 14 feet long. I'm
It's
like,
not in
dang. I'm like,
between.
I'm like, I don't even think it's gonna fit in my garage.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't even know if I can even run it. But I mean, they fixed a lot of the stuff that the XCR, like a lot of people were saying, like, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, and they did that with the 140p, which is
yeah.
cool. I wish they did one without the P, so you can have like the floor space and all that, but you can also order the kayak with or without the drive, so that
Yeah,
changes the
yeah, and
cost
just
of it
keep the
too.
cover on, and yeah, you're good.
Hmm. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. Definitely, I like how they have a spot in the back you can put the drive, the X Range drive,
That's cool.
keep it out of the way. So I think they
Yeah, I
did a
think
good
that
job with
came
that.
about at ICAST last year too, because we kept talking about that with the Hammer, and we tried it out. We're like, oh yeah, you could strap the drive down behind the seat over the battery
Hmm.
bay. But they took it one step further with this and like put a built-in slot for it where you can just drop it in there and lock it down, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I think, complaint with drives. It's like, oh, like I think for the native drives, like if you put it up, you basically can't run two graphs on the front in front of it, right? For the most part, you pretty much
You
can't, unless you go
can
super wide.
You can, but yeah, you'd have to have them go to the sides or forward a
Hmm.
little bit and to the sides. I mean, my graph with the Hammer is to my right, and it's on the gunnel on the right there, and it fits, and the pedal drive goes past it. So you could do that on both sides, or you could even put two. I've seen people do like two graphs like that, but that would take
Yeah,
up your whole side on one of them. You can't do the
yeah, I think,
captain's bridge really unless you don't want to fold the drive forward. But that's like, why would you want to do something that would keep you from using that feature? Like that feature is really cool, being able to put the drive forward
yeah,
and out of your way.
yeah. That was cool how Hans made it where you can lift that front hatch and fold it
And just
underneath the
fold it
front
down in
hatch,
there. Yeah,
and
I
it's
thought
just
that
out
was
of the
cool.
way if you need it. Lift the
Yeah,
hatch
and then
up,
you
pull
have
it
your
back.
standing deck still, and it's out of the
Mm,
way.
yeah.
But accessible really quickly if you do want to use the pedal drive. I think
Hmm.
the I'm excited about the hull on it. Looking at it, I think it's going to perform really well. Similar to the Hammer in a way, where it's made for performance, not necessarily initial stability. It's
Yeah.
still going to be crazy stable because it's so giant. But I
Yeah.
think it'll pedal well because of that hull, and I think it'll even paddle okay with that kind of V hull that it has. But definitely you're going to need a trailer for that beast, and with that shape hull too. Like you couldn't put it in the back of a pickup; it would teeter
Yeah.
over to a
It,
side.
yeah. I mean, it's funny. I looked at it. I was like, this is literally the same size as like my old John boat I used to have. And I was
Yeah,
like, there's
it's a
no way
boat.
this is going in the garage. But yeah, I mean, the
Totally.
hole looks really good. I like how the bow is like raised up and all that. So, I mean, Hans built this for big water. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I mean, with the way this whole year has been for us, like it seems like every tournament's windy. It's at some point there's going to be, some bigger than average waves. So something like that would be sweet. And obviously it's a lot more sleek. I mean, it's gonna be more stable than a PWR, and honestly. Like the
Just because the
PWR for
length,
me is
yeah,
super stable.
yeah,
So it's like, I mean, it doesn't need to be XTR 130 stable. I'm like, anything better than a PWR is, I mean,
oh
more
yeah,
than enough, I feel like.
yeah. Very
Let's see,
cool.
what else I
What else did you
cast?
like?
Trying to think. Ooh, well, something that's kind of can't use it in tournaments, but Jeff Little, he's with ePropulsion now,
I've been
and they
watching
dropped
that.
the K Max 2200 now. 2200 watts. I think our limit is like 1100 watts or something like that. But XTR 130 going over 8 miles an hour. And he posted a video today of a bona fide RVR that went like 9.2 or 9.4.
It's
That's,
crazy. The
but it's
thing I will
lightweight.
say
That's a big
about that,
thing.
it is. It's really light and small.
Mhm.
The thing I'll say about it, if you look at any of the videos, really, you can see what I'm talking about. But I saw that Tiny Boat Nation had a video about it, and he took the XTR out with it on there and ran it full throttle. And if you notice, a lot of people are saying like that needs to be trimmed because you can see the angle. It's like going forward. Well,
Mhm.
it's not the trim. And if you look at it real carefully, and the guy in Tony Boat Nation talks about it, what's happening is it's so powerful that the mount, like this, that's on the hull, as the power goes up, the hull just starts to deflect down. The bracket is
Yeah.
just pulling the hull down and making the hull bend a little bit because it's so damn powerful. You need a big like starboard plate or
Yeah.
something on that thing to really keep it stable, I think. And like you said, it's too powerful to be allowed in kayak tournaments. We wouldn't allow it. It's over our limit.
Mhm.
And everybody else, I don't know anybody at this point who would allow it. But it's
Yeah.
crazy powerful and small and
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's a benefit. It's like you don't have to use a gas motor. It's a 48-volt system, and it'll get the speeds that, for those people like me who like to go fast. Obviously can't use it in the tournament, but it's cool to use for, the casual angler who just wants to go a little faster in a kayak.
Or a boat. If you've got a little
True.
John boat or some kind of other small boat that you're going to transom mount something back there. Of course, this isn't just transom. It's got like steering triangle and everything, so you can use foot steering with it. But
Yeah.
it's
It's
pretty exciting. They have a little motor too that I think I talked about on the podcast before, and that one I'm really interested in for my LTE, for my little kayak, my 10-foot
K Light, I
native
think it's called.
K Light.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
and it's just like the mast is sort of shaped like a rudder, and your battery is in that mast. So it's the whole thing is just a mast with a prop on it, and that's
Hmm.
it. And then your steering triangle. I'm like, that would be awesome for the LTE because I don't need a lot of power on that boat. It weighs 65 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot
Very
of
clever.
motors. Um, I guess one is, I think they won best of show, or one. No, they
They
won one
they
of the
won a few
categories.
awards. Yeah.
Voya X, they dropped the Moza
Oh yeah.
128.
Yeah, my
So it's
buddy
like
Richard Penny and Jake Penny, who's
Richard.
fished with us here
Mhm.
in KFNW. He fished one event with us when he was
Yeah.
living up here.
Yeah, they dropped the Moza 128, and the pedal drive is kind of like the Old Town EPDL, where it's electric power, but you still pedal it, but it also has spot lock too. So that's a pretty neat feature. So for like, a lot of guys who like to run autopilots or something, it's like you still have, that autopilot and motor like that is centered in a kayak, but you also have the pedal drive too. So that was pretty cool
Pedal
to
with it,
see.
pedal
Hmm.
with power assist, or you can just use the motor on it. And everything I've seen on it looks pretty cool. And it's a good looking kayak. They've outfitted it well. But Richard knows his crap about it, and he's helping them out, and they've got other people there that are giving them advice too. So it's cool to see a new company kind of doing it the right way. It seems like from what I can
Yeah,
tell
absolutely.
outside in.
Yeah, the guy looks good. Yeah, just I guess quickly because I know that we got to talk about some Banks recap. Um, another thing was cool was Rapala dropped a new line stripper. It's like $20, and it doesn't have like a capacity. So like for all of us that are traveling on the road and want to retie, respool our reels like on the go, it's a tiny little thing. It's like $20. You can,
Not
and it
while
just
you're driving though.
line really quick. So that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Let's see. Z-Man dropped. Ooh, one thing I'm excited, especially for the Columbia River, the new Octane minnows. So those of us who have or still do throw like a I guess like a Kitech swing impact or whatever,
Me.
that's
Yeah.
that profile has been good for all time. Now you have it in Last Tech, and I mean when I used to use Kitechs, like you catch one or two mean smallmouth and that thing's ripped, and you got to go through cases of them. So it's cool to have the Last Tech version of
It's
that.
one. It's one thing if you're going through it when you catch a fish or two. At Cascade, I was throwing it, and I had a handful, a pile of them that the perch had just bitten the tail off of. I'd get a bite,
Mhm.
I'd set the hook and pop, reel it in, no tail. I'm like, oh my god! I mean, it cost me a lot of money. Those damn
Oh yeah.
perch.
Yeah, but the tail on it makes it where you can like reel it real slow, and then you can obviously burn it if you have to, and it's just gonna have like the perfect amount of wiggle. So that was cool. Um, I guess probably to wrap it up, G.Loomis, one of our sponsors, they dropped the IMX Pro, which we've been getting at all of our events. They dropped the reaction line of rods. So, I mean, I don't even know how many they dropped, but all your typical reactions from bladed jig to crankbait, top water, all of that, frog and rod with the swim bait rods, which I think, I love to throw like a 6-inch swim bait and stuff. So they have ones for that, and then obviously the bigger swim baits too. So that's a cool one that dropped, and yeah, a whole bunch of options. I'm curious if we're gonna get any for giveaways now that those are released. So we'll
That's
see.
very cool. Nice.
But yeah, ICAST is fun, a lot of business, and yeah, it's always a blast just to kind of connect with the people that we always see on social media and stuff all the time, and
Totally.
all that.
Well, great. Yeah, it was good. I got people sending me videos saying hi. You sent me a photo, you and Dwayne, and some other people, Jake and James Snyder, and yeah, it was great seeing everybody
Yeah, I
from
had
afar.
Chad Hoover was my personal Lyft or Uber for the whole trip, so that was nice.
Oh,
He was staying at the same hotel, so I just hit him up and catch a ride with him.
nice. Well, that's good.
Mhm.
Well, great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for giving us a recap on your take on it. And hopefully we'll see you up. You gonna fish Pond Array?
We'll see. Banks was the one that I really wanted to fish because at
Yeah,
least it gives me a little bit of time before the championship. So we'll see. I don't know yet. I really wanted to make Banks work, and then obviously lodging was just kind of a
it was
logistical
tough.
nightmare.
It was tough. If
I
you
mean,
didn't have something
obviously
booked,
my
it was
setup isn't
yeah,
tiny, so it's hard to fit, anywhere. I mean,
yeah.
I could throw a mattress on the ground, it wasn't a problem, but yeah, I was like, whatever. I was like, I guess I'll just miss out. And I feel like Banks would be a fun fishery for me. Just clear water, smallmouth, deep. That sounds like my fishing style.
It was great. It was a lot of fun to fish it. It was my first time there, and yeah, beautiful lake, clear water, like you said, smallmouth and largemouth. It was great.
Hmm.
Well, cool. Speaking of banks, I guess I will cut you loose, and I'll talk to the winners from banks. Good
Sounds
talking to you,
good.
Brandon.
Looking forward to hearing from them.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
All right. Well, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool finding out a little bit more about ICAST. I'm kind of bummed that I did not get to go this year. Maybe next year, if everything works out, I might be able to make it. All right. So that takes us to Banks Lake. We had 44 anglers fishing on Saturday. The weather kind of threw a curveball at us. The wind forecast was pretty high. It did go down a little through the last few days, but it was still pretty intense. By 11, it was supposed to be 14 mile an hour sustained and 18 mile an hour gusts. And Banks kind of has a reputation when it's a little windy for getting treacherous, just because it's a narrow, long, narrow, skinny lake, and the wind was lined up perfectly to just go up that long canyon chute. So we ended up moving the starting time about 30 minutes earlier than we had planned. So the anglers launched. It was a bit darker when they launched, but by the time Lines End was coming around, it was sort of first light was just coming up. And then we trimmed an hour off the end of the day. So it was a 7-hour tournament instead of an 8-hour tournament. And, during the day, I was a little worried that maybe we shouldn't have done it because it took a while for the wind to really kick in. But I talked to a few anglers who said, yeah, I'm glad I got off when I did because the wind was starting to really, really kick. And by the time we got to the awards, it was blowing. It was a good thing that we were off the water. So yeah, that seemed to work out really well. I'm sure some of the anglers we're going to talk to wish they'd had another hour. Maybe they could have turned things around and done even better than they did, but they did pretty well because everybody we're talking to cashed a check. All right, well, with that, let's talk first to our sole Idaho angler on the podium, our big bass winner, Scott Samson. Scott, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Marvin. It's good.
Thanks
to
for
be
joining
seen.
us. Congratulations. Well done. You had big bass for the tournament. You landed in 7th place overall, right?
Yep.
Which is good. That was a good showing for 44 anglers. That's damn good. This is your first time on the podium since we went to a regional tour series? I don't remember. Did you make the podium when you were fishing just Idaho?
I don't think so.
I think this is your first time.
Close-ish, but I think this is the first one. Yeah, that
That's
first
great.
season was rough for me. I got my butt kicked. I just didn't know.
It's a learning experience. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Well, I said to you at the awards, I was like, I'm glad you won big bass and cashed a check. You've traveled from Idaho to all these events and put on a lot of miles. So I was glad to see some money coming back your way to help you defray some of those costs. So congratulations.
Yeah, I'm glad it's kind of paying out, working out, learning more again and getting better. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about this big fish.
Yeah, goodness. So I found this spot in practice that had a couple of choke points where I thought they might be setting up. It had some deeper ledges. And I knew going in that, at least in that section of the lake, the bigger fish were mixed in with the little ones. I could catch the dinkers on topwater, but I didn't get a good topwater bite any day at all. So I knew I had to go a little deeper, and I was counting off jighead minnow a little deeper, and I caught a couple of fish before that working up to this little island, and then threw that out there and let it count down to the 10 count. And by the time I went to go start pinging it, she was on. Like, she took it on the fall, and I just fought her in and got her on and submitted that one right away. So that
our lines in time was 5:30. I think was lines in, and you caught it before 6, so less than 30 minutes into the tournament. It took out some of the surprise because everybody had seen that fish on the board all day, and they're like, "Oh, that's the one to beat."
Yeah, but it's the tiebreaker when you submit, right? So I wanted to get the submission in on that, and then I held off on the rest of them. Oh, it's not.
It's not when you submit; it's when it's taken. If it ends up being a tie, so yeah, you don't have to upload it immediately. That's not going to change your chances of it being if someone else had caught a 19 and 3/4. So yeah,
gotcha.
Or 19 and a quarter rather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that. I caught her, rounded out a limit, went largemouth hunting. I saw like a 20-inch in practice. Saw them. I may have seen her again, and I definitely saw a couple of others. They didn't want anything to do. I was there for an hour 45.
Once you see them, they've seen you too, and you're pretty much screwed. I saw like a 21 go cruising underneath me at one point. I was like, it was great to see you do that 19 and a quarter smallmouth to win. We all kind of were expecting that someone was going to find one big largemouth, like somebody would get a 19 and a half or 19 and 3/4 or something, and that's the case when we've had tournaments on banks. Is somebody will find a big largemouth, but you won it on a smallmouth. There were some largemouth.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan, was to go get the big largie. And then it just worked out that it was smallmouth, so.
Well, that's cool. Great surprise. Anything else that stands out in your day on how things went for you?
Goodness, so many fish.
Yeah, same here.
Glad
tons
we got
of
off
dinks.
when we did. Yeah, tons of dinks. So it was all over the place. Lots of catching. glad we got off when we did. If I had
Yeah.
started my trek back from where I was at, even with an hour left, it would have been tough. But there was no way I would have made it with 30 minutes left. So I started working back, and yeah,
Yeah, I did
didn't really
close.
upgrade much.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I did close 4 launches. We had a bunch of
yeah,
launches on this lake, and I closed 4. And the one you launched at was one I was considering closing, but I ended up not closing it because I felt like it had just a little more protection.
yeah,
But yeah, it's interesting. That part of the lake definitely is more susceptible to wind than some of the others. Where I
yeah,
fished,
yeah,
it was not bad at all. It really wasn't a big
yeah.
deal.
Well, and when I drove back, because we got out early enough that I came all the way back that night. Got back in at 11. When I drove by after awards on the south end of the lake, that was bad.
I
There's
bet.
no bueno.
Big rollers. Even I left in the morning and drove by it, and there were big rollers down there in the morning. It was just doing this, and I talked to a couple people who went out there who were like, yeah, it was like being on the ocean. It was just like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. So I think we made the right call for sure there. It's one of those things like to make a change based on the forecast. The weather's not always right, the weather forecast, but
Right.
it's nice when it works out.
It works out. Yeah, and it's with the season we've been having, like how much are you going to push your luck? So
Oh my
I think
God.
it was good to get ahead of it.
It's been challenging with and even temperature. It was the same sort of thing, right? Like 3 days before the event, it was like 30 degrees warmer than it was on tournament day, or 20 degrees warmer at least.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't as cold as Cascade, thankfully.
Oh, thankfully.
Brandon says, I noticed a lot of people's kicker fish came within the first hour. Always sets up great momentum for the rest of the day. Yeah, it does definitely. Yeah, I'm sure it felt great for you to have a big fish on the
Yes.
board right away.
It did. I was feeling pretty good until I checked the scores and I saw Chessie had 3 18s or whatever it was, and a 17 and 17. I was like, okay, well, I guess I better go get that largemouth. And then that didn't happen. So, but
Yeah.
it was still a good day.
Yeah, oh, totally. And like Brandon said, it definitely was like an early morning bite was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I pre-fished on Friday, I caught my last fish on Friday around 9:30, and from about 10 or so on, it was just dead. I couldn't find anything. And it was a little like that on Saturday. I did catch a couple after that, but not much. And I got off the water not long after 10 because we went in to finish judging and everything. Yeah, I'm usually off the water early.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm like I said, I'm really excited that you got in there, and we've got a couple of faces in this one that haven't been on the podium much or at all before. So it's cool to see it.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you would like to thank? Anybody who supports you or sponsors you, or family, friends? Anybody?
Goodness. Yeah. Sponsor? No, nobody official yet, but I obviously do want to thank Joe.
I see you're
Northwest.
wearing a Northwest tackle cap,
Yeah,
or one of our
yeah, we got
sponsors.
our Rock Northwest. He's helping us out, trying to get the kayaking game and continue the kayak game here in Idaho. So appreciate that. And then Idaho Rod and Reel, I talked to those guys quite a bit. They're awesome. They're a good shout too. And then probably my wife, Marissa, who's not going to watch this, but I'll shout her out anyway because I should.
Well, that's great. Yeah, so you won $486 in cash plus $200 from Three Rivers Tackle, since you're the big bass winner. So I'll send you an email and we'll get you connected with Shannon over there at Three Rivers, and he'll take care of getting your credit for whatever you want to buy there.
Awesome. They have all good stuff too.
Yeah,
so,
go to their website and start making a list of the stuff you want.
Yeah.
Or just get like one rod. One really nice rod.
That might be tempting with Clear Lake coming up. I need a proper punching rod.
That's great. If you don't have a place to stay yet in Clear Lake, we've got some room still in the house, so let me know about that.
Okay.
Well, cool. Thanks for coming on. Hang out if you want, and I'll try and bring everybody back in at the end, and we'll sign everybody off.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. See you. Well, that's cool. It's cool to see somebody new on the podium. Speaking of new on the podium, I think this angler has been on the podium, but not a ton. So it's great to see him in here as well. We bring on our third place winner from Washington, Mr. Brandon Henning. Oops, that's the wrong person. Sorry. There he is. Click the wrong button. How's it going, Brandon?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. So, what was your previous best? You won one event, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that was Lake Taps. I think it was 20 or 21, somewhere back. Yeah,
That's great. Well,
that
it's
was
great to
it.
see you on the board.
I like to hang out in the back, you know.
You don't want to be too aggressive.
Yeah.
So tell us about your day. How did it go for you out there? How did it feel?
Well, it started pre-fishing. I woke up late Thursday morning after sleeping from the week, and just headed out. And happened to just launch and take a left, and found a really odd bite in the middle of the day. And following day, just decided to go somewhere completely different. And tournament day, I went with what worked in practice, hoping they'd still be there. And it was just solid. I think pretty much for the first 4 hours of the tournament, every fish I caught was over 15 inches. Not a single small fish in the area. And so, yeah, pretty much just fished that one area, kept leaving, coming back, and leaving and coming back. And it just kept producing every time I came back. So.
It's great, man. If you can find a spot like that keeps reloading, you're in great shape.
Yep.
You had 87 and a quarter inches, a damn fine score, and you had some late entries in there too, like you said, because it had reloaded for you.
Yep.
What were you throwing? What was working for you?
For most of the day, I was throwing a paddle-tailed 5-inch Senko, Texas rigged, and it's pretty much what I exclusively throw everywhere. They were just eating that up, and then when that bite started to die a little bit, I switched up to a Bass Candy Rattler DS and bluegill with a bluegill flash trailer, and I just started throwing that around just to see if they were moving out or anything like that. And then that's when the 18s kept hammering it. So I just threw that around for the last 2 hours.
Fantastic. I had a bunch of dinks, so I'm jealous. Not jealous, envious. I'm glad you did well and placed in third. So that's great. And PNW Bass Candy, another sponsor of ours. So shout out to them. You've been to Banks before, though. That was not your first time there, right?
No, it was not. I knew of the 2 previous times I fished Banks, I knew where I didn't want to go. So that helped narrow
That's
down.
helpful, right?
Kind of some things. And I almost decided to go south, but stayed at the north end of the lake, and that paid off. It seemed like a lot more people went south. So,
we had people all over the lake, and I looked at where people caught them. I always kind of pay attention to that, especially for these wrap-ups to see. And the truth is, in the top 5, we had people in every corner of the lake, everywhere. Yeah. It didn't. You could make it work pretty much wherever you went. So that's cool. I like to see that. I mean, we always think about spots, right? Like, oh yeah, I got to find the right spot, but didn't matter that much.
And that's what was funny. All the previous podcasts talking about Banks coming up, and previous times I've been there, it's always just like Brandon Wass said earlier. Deep, clear water, smallmouth, and instead it was clear water, but I didn't fish anything over 11 feet deep, and for the most, I believe the first 2 hours, I didn't really even catch a smallmouth till the last 2 hours. Wow. I was cycling through largemouth. So.
Yeah, I had all smallmouth on Saturday. I did catch one decent largemouth on Friday on a rock, on a boulder, like I thought it was a smallmouth when I hooked it until I got to the boat and I was like, oh, that's a largemouth.
Yep.
Even fought like a smallmouth, doing his head shake and everything, coming diving at the boat. So,
Yep.
well, that's great. Let's see, what did Brandon had something to say about yours. Super consistent bag for Henning. His smallest is also the biggest fifth keeper of any bag. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you had the biggest small fish in your bag, which is, that's the Achilles heel a lot of times of anglers. I was looking at the scores, and Dan Walker, that's what happened to him. He had a couple of 19s, or I think there were 2 19s, but he couldn't cull his smallest fish or two, and that's what kept him down. If he had culled one more big fish, he would have shot right up into the podium here with you guys. So consistency,
And that's good, but it's also kind of disheartening at the end. The last hour I'm trying to upgrade, and I'm like, I can't upgrade anything.
It's
But,
hard when
yeah,
your smallest fish is on that lake. The way it was fishing,
yeah,
it was mostly you were catching 12s and 10s, and so getting a cull late in the day, I can imagine that was a little. It was definitely challenging for me. I didn't do it. Who would you like to thank?
Yak Rods and Pacific Northwest Bass Candy, and yeah,
Shout
pretty
out
much.
to 2 more sponsors of ours. That's great.
Yep. So that's about it.
Well, that's great. Thanks so much for joining me here and talking about your day. Hang out, and I'll bring you back on, and we'll actually look at some of the catches and stuff with the whole group. I'll wait till I get everybody to do that. But hang out for a bit, and we'll bring you back on.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks,
you.
Brandon, such a good guy. He's fished with us for years, and I've gotten to know him pretty well. And he would come down and fish some Oregon events too, back when we were, doing 3 separate states before we were doing the regional. And that's one of the great things about doing this regional series now, is I've gotten to know some of the anglers from Washington and Idaho better than I knew them before, because we see them, at every event. And I've heard that from anglers too, that, they knew about some of these people from seeing their catches, and they might see them at one event a year or something, but now they're seeing them at multiple events a year. So, new friendships are happening, which is awesome. All right, next in line is our second place angler. You got a sneak preview of his smiling face a minute ago. I'll bring him back on. Mr. Will Raymond from Bellingham, Washington. Will, good to see you.
Hey, Marvin. Good to see you too.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So if you noticed, Scott was from Idaho, but Brandon's from Washington. Will is from Washington. And our first place angler is from Washington-ish. He's in Washington, technically.
Close enough, right?
Close enough, for sure. He's over the border. But yeah, so what's the deal? Why was it all Washington? Because it was Banks Lake? Because it was Washington Lake?
Yeah, I think it must be. I mean, yeah, definitely one of the classic lakes in the state. Even for us on the west side, if you're going to travel somewhere, it's pretty much Eastern Washington.
Banks.
Potholes or Banks Lake. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're always great. Oh, and Brandon pointed out, not only are you all Washington, but you're all Western Washington. You're all from the west side of Washington, all you podium winners, which is kind of cool that you went east and conquered.
Yeah, I guess so. Trying to represent, but I think it's just where most of us Western guys kind of go to fun fish when we have the time, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and you've got some great. You live right near Lake Whatcom, so you've got some great places right near home too. And I've heard a few anglers tell me that's one of the things they like about this, is it forces them basically to go places that they probably wouldn't make the trek, because they have great bodies of water closer to home, and they would just stick closer to home. So it exposes them to places that they might not have seen, and so that's cool to hear.
Oh, absolutely.
So you had 88.5 inches. Very good bag. And you had a late charge right near the end. We'll look at that when we go to the webpage with everybody and look at the graph. People will see it. It's pretty interesting. You made a run for sure. So tell us a little bit about your day and how it went for you. What was working?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I guess a little bit of backstory. Just I've been going to Banks Lake for probably 10, 12 years.
Okay.
It's a bit of history on that lake, once or twice a year, not a ton. But
Yeah.
yeah, I normally, we go as family trips and I'm up around the Steamboat Rock area. And it just seems like for me, always up there, it's one of those awesome places to go late summer because you'll catch 70 or 80. But yeah, most of them are pretty small.
Dinks.
Can be a dink
Yep.
fest for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you might get some good ones mixed in. And that's kind of what I've noticed these last maybe 5 years is it seems like the average fish quality has really declined
Has gone
as far
down.
as smallmouth in Banks Lake, but the largemouth has gotten a lot better around like the Osborne area, Osborne Bay area and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the tough decision for me because I fished on the very southern end of the lake, and this was actually my second time in that many years. This is my second time launching down there. I launched there this spring and caught a bunch of spawn. I was there perfect time during the spawn, and I was catching a bunch of 18 plus inchers, 3, 4 pounders.
Nice.
And wasn't catching a ton of fish, but the average fish was better quality. So yeah, in practice, I spent one day down south, and I honestly didn't get many bites. I only got probably 4 bites. I went up north a little bit, fished around some islands out in the middle, Goose Island, and I caught 12 to 15 walleye. So I couldn't keep them off.
A few
So
people
it
told
was
me
just
about some massive walleye they caught. Yeah.
yeah, some good ones like 25 plus inch walleye. But
That's what I heard.
it was really interesting to me because it just seemed like the smallmouth hadn't moved like really offshore. For whatever reason, I wasn't finding them around and I think it was more that I was finding a bunch of walleye and they weren't really in the same areas. They were really walleye dominant.
Segregated. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I worked back towards the launch, I saw a couple good ones on forward facing, and I caught like 2 18 inchers. So kind of bookmarked that, and then the next day because we saw the weather coming in, I wanted to have a good backup plan. I went up to Osborne Bay, went largemouth fishing, and caught some decent fish. But I after that day, I was talking to Corey at the boat launch, and he told me that there was a boat tournament launching the next day.
Yeah, that's where
And
they were launching.
yeah. And yeah, when I was there in the spring, they all launch up at Electric City, and in a 40 boat tournament, it was over 25 boats all came into Osborne Bay. So I knew that it would be like half of our field and then all the boats. I just didn't want to mess with that. So I knew I was at least going to start down south and then maybe go up to Osborne if the wind got bad enough was kind of my game plan. So yeah, ended up launching down south again. I went out to where I saw those fish cruising. Didn't see any fish down there, but just kind of worked my way down south a little bit, kind of back down towards the island and where there's a deeper. Basically, there's all those really shallow rocky shelves, and then they
Yeah.
drop straight to like 8, 10 feet of water, and then it's more of a gradual roll off into say 30 feet of water.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just following that edge down, and right when I hit the south, I guess facing edge of those shelves, the spot where the wind was really hitting right into the shelf, I found a little area that was holding fish, and yeah. So that was, I think, right at about 6 a.m. I caught like a 16 and a half, and then I caught the skinniest 19-inch fish I've ever caught. It was maybe 2 pounds. I mean, skinny as a rail. Its bottom jaw was like broken in half, but hey, for a length tournament, I'll take it. So
Made for CPR. That's right.
yeah, exactly. So I caught that, and then I think I caught another 17-incher or so. So I was pretty happy with that, and I filled out my limit there with a couple more small ones, and then it got slick calm and my bite died. So yeah, I left that area, and I went down to the southern Ankeny launch because there's a roadbed that runs all the way out, and there's
Right.
a couple islands, some more of those shelves and humps and stuff, and I, caught a couple walleye, a couple dinks, and didn't see much else. And then the wind started picking up again. So I was thinking, maybe those fish I was catching early would start firing again. And I went back up to that spot, and they were kind of firing again. When the wind started, I got on a little minnow bite, and but I couldn't really hold position and accurately target those fish. So I was just using the forward facing to kind of see the rocks and see the area, and point my motor, point straight into the wind. And I was actually blind minnowing, and I caught, first cast on that spot, I caught like an 18-incher. And then like after that next cast, I was actually repositioning the kayak after casting out. And I picked up my rod and started reeling in, and I had like a 17.5 on. And yeah, that rounded out my bag. So,
Man.
yeah.
I tried to get a minnow bite, but it just seemed every fish I caught had craws falling out of its mouth. So I was like, well, craws.
Yeah. Understandable. Yeah. And that's what was cool too, is the night before I was just hanging out down at the launch, and you could see when you'd walk up to the launch with a headlight on, you'd see all the crawfish scatter in the water.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So
There's a lot of them.
I was, yeah. So yeah, but before the minnow bite, first thing in the morning, I was catching most of my fish on a really light Ned rig and a drop shot, and all my fish came in like 3 to 8 feet of water. So similar to, I think Brandon was saying that, yeah, just it was a really shallow bite all around, kind of chunk rock around those islands, and there had to be kind of grass around to, that's where I seem to find a lot more fish. So,
well, that's great.
yeah.
Congrats. Not your first time on the podium. You had a good tournament last year, a really good one. So it's good to see you back near the top.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Good to be back. And it's kind of interesting to me because I grew up really just a largemouth fisherman, more shallow potholes kind of stuff. And I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, I guess my 2 second place finishes have been in like ultra clear water,
Smallmouth waters.
smallmouth fisheries, and that's something I put a lot of time into these last like year and a half learning. So yeah, glad to see some of that work's kind of paying off. So.
Yeah, it's a similar story for me. I was born in the South and then grew up in the Northeast, and there just weren't smallmouth there. There were largemouth, and so I fished for largemouth a lot as a kid growing up, and never really lived around smallmouth much. Even I lived in Arizona for over 20 years, and there were some bodies of water that had smallmouth, and I did catch some smallmouth there, but it's not like the smallmouth up here. Not as many and not as big in general. Occasionally you'd find a decent one, but not these like 20 plus fish. You didn't get those down there. So yeah, it's the same for me. I kind of had to learn smallmouth, and it kind of quickly became my favorite. I love fishing for both, but yeah.
No, yeah, same kind of thing for me. Yeah, it's a blast. It's definitely a lot different, and I love that you can go out and have those days with smallmouth where you figure out one little thing and you're catching 70, 80 fish.
That's right. They're so much more aggressive and a little more predictable, I would say, when it's on, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, cool. Hang out, and I'll. Before I cut you off, who would you like to thank? Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't have any sponsors or anything. Hope to one day, but yeah. Again, Joe with Northwest Tackle was super helpful for me. I think I was the first person to pre-order a kayak through Northwest Tackle. And,
I heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. Super helpful throughout the whole process. And I actually my parents were swinging through the area, so they picked up the kayaks for me. And Joe helped them like move the bunks on the trailer, get them all set up right, load up the kayaks, everything. He was, just really great and awesome to work with. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Hang out. I'll bring you back on, and we'll take a look at some of the numbers and some of the fish. All right.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Will.
Appreciate it.
Well, very cool. And then there was just one left. Our first place angler from Vancouver, Washington, Mr. Jesse Brummett. Jesse, it's good to see you.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I see you're sporting the G.Loomis swag. That comes honestly.
All day, every day.
That's right. Jesse works with G.Loomis, so and he's a big part of why they are a sponsor of us this year. So first of all, just a big thanks to you for assisting in that. And yeah, tell us a little bit about your day and how you did this, how it worked for you.
Yeah, so on July 3rd, which I think was the day before it closed for the blackout days, I went up there because I had the day off from work and just randomly picked a spot. I'd never been to the lake before, and it took me a while to start catching fish. My first fish was actually a carp on a tube jig, which was fun. But as soon as the wind started blowing a little bit, I started catching them pretty good, and they were all pretty decent sized. So when I was looking at like the past tournament and the sizes seemed to be mostly small fish, I was like, I caught mostly like 17, 18 inches and saw some other ones that were even bigger. So I was like, okay, this is a good spot to go. So I decided to go back there pre-fishing, but fish in a different area, just so I had more spots under my belt if I needed them. Didn't really catch anything pre-fishing. And I also determined that I forgot my little cable for my live scope, so I wasn't able to use that at all the whole tournament.
Brandon Hoyle said you didn't need that quarter after all, did you, Jesse? I was going to ask you about it too. Like the day before, Jesse posted online, like, does anybody have a cable for for my forward-facing sonar? And nobody did. So you're just going to have to go blind.
Yeah. So where I wanted to launch was to fish was a place that we were thinking of closing, and thankfully we didn't. And I was actually hoping to have wind because it didn't seem like the bite was on very well without it, which is very typical of smallmouth. I found that.
Oh, it's better with a little wind for sure.
Wind or current helps a lot. When there's no current in banks,
and both of them are good in small amounts. I like a little wind. I like a little current. I don't want a ton of current. I don't want a ton of wind.
Yeah. So it was actually funny. My first fish got wound around my pedal drive, and I actually had to lift the drive up and landed the fish through the hole. It was only a 12.5 incher. It was the smallest fish I caught all day, but I marked it. And then
I'm always scared of that happening, especially if I have to switch them around to the other side of the boat. I'm worried they're just going to wrap around that.
Mm-hmm. I rarely have it happen, but it happened that day. I guess part of it, I was only in like 2 feet of water, so it didn't have much room between the bottom and my pedal drive to go elsewhere. So, but then I caught a 15 incher, and then I retied and changed lures, and I actually busted that fish off in the net. So as I was bringing it up, the line broke. And I just today was trying to remember how that could happen. I think it was because it wrapped around my pedal drive, and I think
that could have done
that might have damaged the line. So I learned to check now.
I've made that mistake and lost a fish because I didn't check my line often enough. So yeah, it's a good reminder for everybody.
Yeah, just some.
Yeah, give us a little show and tell here. What were you?
Feelings.
What were you throwing and what were you throwing it on?
My first ever G.Loomis rod I ever bought, actually, after starting to work there, which is the 843 CBR IMX Pro. And I was using the Corrado 70 MGL.
Can't go wrong there.
Which is a lightweight spool, so you can cast it a mile. And I was actually playing with this new Yozuri. It's a one knock, so it has just one knocker in it.
One big knocker in it. Yeah, I have one of those.
Normally, I was using the Jackal TN 70s, but they're out of stock now because of the tungsten shortage. So it's very difficult to get them. And the one I have doesn't rattle anymore. I've caught so many fish on it. It's a silent bait now. I don't know what happened, but the
tungsten's been pulverized.
Must have got jammed or something. Yeah, but this one, the hooks aren't as good. I need to upgrade the hooks, but every time I always had to check it every time I hit bottom or anything, and they kept getting dull. So I probably sharpened these hooks 10 times throughout the day. just to
Good
make
on
sure
you
they stay
there.
sharp.
Andrew Janke won an event, did well in an event last year, and he was saying the same thing. Like he kept having to check his hooks. He felt like they weren't sharp enough, so he was sharpening like a madman between fish.
So I was using that around anything hard structure, rocks, islands. Anytime I got around some weeds, I switched over to the jackhammer chatterbait, which is the spunk shad trailer. This one's kind of a blue gilly or shad or kind of profile. This is the GLX bladed jig rod 873, which is actually my newest rod I just bought. So
Your
the oldest and
your
the
newest.
newest. And then this is my newest reel, which is the Antares, which is an amazing reel. This thing's like buttery smooth.
That's cool. Yeah. I have not used one of those.
So this house I was just fishing around grass, and without my live scope, I just kind of found actually the spot I found in pre-fishing. The fish weren't really there at all, so I was like, okay, maybe they moved out a little further. So I just went out, found a weed line. I just went out from shore till I got to the edge of the weed line, and then casted along the edge of the weed line. And first two casts doing that, I caught two 18s, both on that chatterbait. So that was super fun. And then after the wind completely died for about 30 minutes or so.
It was really calm for the first few hours, and you're right, it dropped a little at one point. There was a little breeze, and then there was nothing.
Completely silent, and my tournament flag stopped moving at all. I switched over to this Megabass Spark Shad with the Orchestra screw head.
I've got some of those heads. Yeah.
I've had good luck with this when it's very silent, no current or no wind or anything. I can still pick up some bites of this. I picked up one walleye and had a 20-inch smallmouth chase the walleye in my kayak.
Oh, geez.
But then caught two fish, nice fish on this, but they happened to both tie my smallest fish in my bag at the time, so I couldn't upgrade. But this is actually one of the new IMX Pro rods that I just designed with G.Loomis that we're raffling away. That's the 851
That's
JWR.
great.
And then I have the new Vanquish on here that just came out from Shimano, this is the super shallow spool, so doesn't hold a lot of line, but you can cast it super far.
Oh, because there's less resistance on the spool because it's so shallow. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
and it's the lightest reel in the Shimano lineup, so this whole setup's feels like nothing. It's a dream.
That's great. That's killer.
That's the only 3 rods I caught fish on the whole day. I was just bouncing back between them. So,
well, you really filled your board early too. You had early success.
Yeah, I went right to where I thought the fish were and found them pretty quick. And then once I had a pretty big limit. I upgraded twice. I got rid of that 12.5 incher. I guess it's 3 times. I think I had a 14, a 15, and a 12. And I got rid of those 3, and then I couldn't upgrade from there because they were so big. I tried. But I only ended up catching like a dozen fish plus that walleye. So I was
the numbers were less where you were for sure. I think Will was saying the same thing, but the quality was better. I had 30 fish and they were all small.
Yeah, I think I had 2 that were like 15 and 3 that were 15 and under, and the rest were 16 and a half plus. So it was good fun. I liked the wind. Near the end, it was getting a little bad, but that was like afternoon. Up until noon, it was pretty manageable.
Yeah, and noon was lines out and off the water, and that's about when it really started to kick in. So I feel like we did time it well. I think that worked out. It worked out for you, obviously. Will might have caught you. He was making a run for it. So it might have been just
he was
the perfect
actually at
time
my
for
same
you.
ramp. So he pulled into the boat ramp right after me and was like, "Man, I think I might have caught him." He didn't know it was me that was in the lead.
Nice. Well, who would you like to thank?
I want to thank G.Loomis, obviously.
Of
They're
course.
making the best rods, I think, on the market. And it's really awesome being a part of the design process and being able to go test them and use them in the tournaments and help donate them to other people. So that's always super fun. And then Shimano, obviously, for reels and lures and things like that. And then Z-Man helps me out a lot, too. So I'd like to thank them.
Great. Yeah, you're always sporting a Z-Man shirt, it seems like. So it's cool to see that. They've got some cool swag, too. Their hats and shirts are on par. Being a graphic designer, I noticed that stuff, and they're done really well. Well, let's bring the gang back on here and take a look at some of the stuff we've been talking about. Let me bring everybody back in. Here we go. You guys can unmute yourselves now if you want. Well, that's great. And now let's go to the webpage. And we should be able to see all of you. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. We're missing nobody. We've got everybody. That's perfect. Oh, we don't have Scott. I'm sorry, Scott.
Where'd they go?
There's no room for you. We can hear you.
Put them at the top next to the KFNW Current.
Cover KFNW Current logo. Let's see if I can get Scott in here. I think if well, that may not work right now. Let's see if I can. Oh, I don't think I'm going to get it right now, Scott. I'm sorry, but we can hear you. You're
okay.
We just can't see you. So yeah, right. So let's take a look. There's the four of you. Kaboom. Nice. Very good. A little write-up about you guys. And this is one thing I wanted us all to look at because it's pretty damn interesting. If you look at Jesse and Will, so that's the blue line and the green line, you guys were neck and neck on the first three fish. You were like in parallel there on those first three fish. Just the first one, you were like maybe a half hour apart, and the others you were like a couple of minutes apart. Boom, boom, boom. But then the difference was Jesse went bump, 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 got his, and then Will and Brandon set out early. He was ahead of both of you after three fish. He had an even better early tournament than Jesse did. But then Will and Brandon, you just sort of very slowly until you got your fourth fish, and then fifth, and you almost caught Jesse. You were not far apart. 89 and a quarter, 88 and a half, 87 and a quarter. Pretty cool how that worked out. I love this new graph thing. It's something I just started doing, and it's pretty cool to be able to see. So here's some of those fish that we were talking about. Oh, I didn't set those up where we can zoom in, but you can see it there. There's Jesse's. There's Will's. You got to get a new board, Will. I can see it's almost impossible to read that board.
And I plan on it. Yeah, I just haven't yet.
You can afford it now. You got the money now.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll reinvest.
And then Brandon, that's your big fish, which was that dead eye fish. Brandon sent me a video of the release of that fish just to make sure. When a fish has got a dead eye, we ask people to, as insurance, take a little release video. Because if the fish looks dead and has a dead eye, we might ask for it. We might be like, but this one was pretty lively. We could tell he was okay. And then there's Scott with his big fish. Pretty cool. And then Josh Adine, first-time tournament fisherman, was our little limit winner with his long-armed small trophy. And then there's some cool data in here. So we had 244 fish submitted by 41 of 44 anglers. That's 5.5 fish per angler in the tournament. That's definitely the highest average that we've had this year. We had 30 anglers from Washington, 12 from Oregon, and 3 from Idaho. 30 anglers out of that 44 had a full fish bag, full 5-fish bag. There were 203 smallmouth and 41 largemouth, so definitely heavily slanted towards smallmouth. Sita Mao caught our first fish of the day at 5:02 a.m., 2 minutes into the tournament, beating Jordan Duggar and Trey Potts by 1 minute. Our last fish of the day was Matthew Pollock with one at 11:26, a good 30 minutes before lines out. So that goes along with what I was saying when in pre-fishing for me, it just died about 10. It was kind of hard to catch anything late. And then, of course, our big fish was Scott with that 19.25 smallmouth. Jordan Duggar, I've got to give a little shout out here to Jordan because he had some unfortunate turn of events at this tournament. When it was getting near the end, he was sitting in third place. He was tied for Brandon in third place, and we can scroll down and see. So here we can see Brandon and Jordan. They were tied in third. And of course, our tiebreaker is broken by the angler's biggest fish, whoever has the biggest fish. Well, if you look, Jordan and Brandon, their biggest fish was an 18.25. Their second biggest fish was an 18. And then their third biggest fish, finally, it was a 17.5. So Jordan was winning the tiebreaker. Jordan was sitting in third and Brandon was sitting in fourth. Well, in doing our final triple checks, there was one of Jordan's catches that we realized the tail, we weren't positive the tail was touching the line, so we zoomed way in on it as much as we could with what was uploaded to Tourney X. And there was it looked like there might have been a tiny crack, but it was so close that we really couldn't tell for sure. So when we got to the awards, we brought Jordan up and took a look at the original photo on his phone, which is a little higher res than the version that ended up on Tourney X. And it wasn't touching. He had another photo that it was touching, but the mouth was kind of blurry on that one in the photo. So I think that's why he didn't upload that one. But he probably, in hindsight, he probably should have. So we deducted that 1/4 inch. Well, that 1/4 inch put Brandon in third. And then Jordan was tied with Corey Carlisle. If you look, they both had 87 inches. But in this case, Corey had a 19 for his big fish, which beat Jordan's big fish. So Corey ended up in fourth. So that 1/4 inch knocked Jordan from third all the way down to fifth and out of the money. He was our first angler out of the money, winning the $100 discount tackle card was what he got. An unfortunate turn of events. But I will say this. Let's go back to the full view of everybody's faces. Jordan got his comeuppance because I guess I shouldn't have switched because I want to show you guys this too. Let's go back to the web page. So here's our AOI after the event. Jordan's in the lead with 791. Andrew Larson sitting in second with 773. And Will Raymond is sitting in third at 761. So we've got one more event. I did the math, figured out all the what ifs about this. And as it turned out, if Andrew Larson wins at Pend Oreille, he would end up with 789, 2 points beneath Jordan's current score. And Jordan's score can't go down anymore. It could go up if he wins at Pend Oreille, or if he comes in high at Pend Oreille, above fifth place, his score will go up. But it can't go down anymore because he's got his 4 tournaments. So Andrew was 2 points behind Jordan. Will, who's in third place for AOI, if Will were to win Pend Oreille and Jordan kept his 791, Will, you would have had 790 points. You'd be 1 point behind Jordan for AOI, even if you won Pend Oreille. And anybody below Will, Chris Williams is the next one, wouldn't even be close. So I can say with all certainty now that Jordan Duggar is our 2026 Angler of the Year. Let's hear it for Jordan.
Congrats.
Well done, Jordan. I mean, it's crazy how close it was. Andrew 2 points behind, Will 1 point behind. I mean, crazy. What's your reaction, Will? We don't have Andrew on here, unfortunately. I should have brought Andrew on to hear the news, but what's your reaction?
I mean, even if it took a lot less for me, the way Jordan's fishing this year, I don't think there's any way that Jordan's going out there and not catching any fish. So,
Well,
yeah. I didn't even know where that race was before this or anything, but yeah, that dude's fishing out of his mind this year. So,
oh yeah, before this event, he's been in the top 3 in every event. He had a third, and a second. So yeah, he hasn't won a single event this year, and that's a great reminder for everybody that Angler of the Year isn't about winning necessarily. It's about consistency. It's about doing good, not necessarily the best, but good in multiple events. So that's cool. Some people have joined us late, and they're chiming in now. Ozzy Rio says, great job, Scott. Way to go, buddy. Another Idaho angler giving you the shout out.
Yeah,
good to see.
The boys are showing the love this year.
And Steve Brodecker, same thing. Idaho angler. I want to see Scott's hog. Okay, let's get your hog on there. Let me. I'll bring it up and we'll show everybody. Banks. You ask Steve, and I got to talk to you about this, though. It's good we're doing this, Scott, because it's a little learning exercise for you as well. There it is. There is your fish. Scott,
yep.
You can zoom in on these fish more. You don't need to be that far out on the fish.
Yeah. I got used to doing it with the 0.5 zoom. And then, yeah, I probably could zoom in a little more.
There it is, a little bigger. You can see a little bigger now there. Here it is, 19 and a quarter. It was a skinny fish. It had some big shoulders and a big head, but yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Who else has chimed in? Oh, Brandon again. Brandon Hua says, way to get it done. Jordan, you dominated this season. Yeah, he definitely did. He like I said, he didn't win. Brandon won one. Brandon had a tough tournament at the last one, which brought him down. He was tied for second before Banks. So if he had fished Banks and done really well, we'd see Brandon in there right now as well in the running for this. And it would have really come down to Pend Oreille. And then the other angler we were watching was Michael Mumford. And I'm not going to dive into all the details of what happened to Michael. I'm going to bring him on the podcast at another date and talk about his day. But he ended up with 0 at Banks. So clearly that blew his chances. But we were kind of thinking that that Michael and Jordan might have had a shootout in that last event. And as it turned out, Will and Andrew, depending on their day, Andrew didn't have a great day at Banks. He was our top Oregon angler. He came in 17th, I think. That's how Washington dominated this tournament. Is our first Oregon angler was in 17th, and we had one Idaho angler in there. Well, no, TJ was in there. TJ was where did TJ end up? TJ was in. Oh no, he was even worse. 26th. So yeah, the top out of the top 16 anglers, 15 of them were from Washington. I don't think we've ever had that slanted a tournament before, so that's kind of cool to see. But yeah, so we were kind of looking forward to like a dramatic shootout in the last one between 2 or 3 or even 4 anglers, but didn't happen. And Jordan ended up clinching it on number 4. So congrats to you, Jordan. He doesn't even have to fish pond array. But what's that?
It looks like Dan Walker got 2 19-inchers, but then couldn't fill out his bag.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Dan, if he could have culled, it would have made all the difference in the world. We can look at that here. There he was, 10th place, 2 19s, a 16, and then that 13 1/4 and 12 3/4 just killed him. But yeah, if he could have caught one more 19, would have culled him, 5 1/4 inches, he would have been in. He would have been in 5th place. We lost everybody. They're coming back. There's Will, Scott, Jesse. Sorry about that, guys. It happens once in a while. We just drop callers. And there's Brandon. I think you're all back now. Should be. But yeah, if Dan could have culled one of those 2 smallest fish, he was sitting in 10th place, that 13 1/4, that 12 3/4. You'd have seen him up in the podium as well. But
yeah, cool. Hey Marvin, I've got a question about just kind of the general, I don't know, people's history if they fish Banks Lake much.
Lay it on us. Maybe somebody will answer.
Well, yeah, just it seems like in back in the day, you used to catch a lot more good smallmouth, and then this year, like this spring in Osborne, I caught like a 4.5 pound largemouth. My mom caught a 4 1/4 largemouth, and I didn't used to catch that many walleye like around where you would be catching smallmouth. And I mean, in practice and the tournament, I probably caught 20 walleye this year. So I'm just curious of other people's, what they think might be going on. Is the walleye population booming and that hurting the smallmouth? Same thing with the largemouth, or just
it's a good question. Michael Mumford was staying in the same house as me, and he had a 28-inch walleye on one day and another walleye that was almost as big. And then on Friday, he hooked another walleye that he said he fought for about 4 minutes, and he got it up right to the boat, to the net, and it shook off. And he said it was considerably bigger than that 28 that he had caught. So that's a massive walleye, like a 30.
Oh, huge, yeah.
I mean, my biggest is a 23, and I thought that was a giant. So yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, but I heard it from a number of anglers that the walleye are just booming up there. I wish Jim Davis was with us. He's the walleye king in our group. I'm going to talk to him about it. It's not the first time we've seen a surprising walleye bite. We fished the Willamette River last year here near me, one of my home waters that I fish a lot. And 2 years ago we fished it, and I caught one walleye, one little tiny walleye, which I had never caught one in there before. I thought that was a little unusual. Well, last year we fished it for, I think it was our 4th or 5th tour event, and we had a bunch of anglers fish it, and we did a count at the end of the tournament for how many fish everybody had caught of these different species. And our group had caught 80 walleye on one day in the Willamette River. Now, they weren't 28 inchers, but there was somebody said they caught like a 22 or 23, a big one. And there were a bunch of them. I caught a couple that were, keeper size. They were probably 14s, something like that, a good size if you want to keep them and take them home. And that part of the Willamette is actually very nice, clean water. So it's tempting to go up there and chase some walleye for the pan.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about the smallmouth though. Patrick Kelly has done really well at Banks previously. He had a bit of a tough day Saturday. He had some decent fish, but he didn't finish super high. He might have some memory of that. Trey Potts has also done well up there. And Michael Mumford grew up there. Grew up near Banks and fished it a lot growing up. He lives in Idaho now. But yeah, those guys would have a lot of insight probably on the change over the last, 20, 25 years. Yeah, Brandon's saying the same thing I thought. I'd imagine those walleye are eating a bunch of smallmouth fry because there's a lot of
I'm
smallmouth.
sure.
There's a lot of smallmouth in there. And that, when you were talking about it, when you asked the question, I was like, well, they're eating smallmouth. That's what they're doing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it seems like it. And that's what I was thinking too, because I caught a lot more walleye at the southern end of the lake. And just, I know most fishermen kind of launch up in the midsection of the lake and the northern end of the lake. I know most of the bass tournaments launch out of Electric City. And I know obviously they're putting them in the live well and dragging them up there. So wherever they're catching them, they're moving fish to the northern end of the lake. So yeah, I've just been curious how all that kind of plays together of, the bigger average fish kind of being in the southern end and a lot of dinks in the middle, a lot of walleye at the southern end. It's just, yeah, interesting how all that plays out.
I think that southern end doesn't get fished as hard as
Yeah.
certainly up near Steamboat, near the state park, and that would be my guess on why bigger smallmouth are happening down there. And we know why the largemouth are up north. There's just better conditions for what they like. There's more grass, there's more wood, there's more, they're not usually as attracted to rocky stuff like smallmouth.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm putting the call out right now. Somebody tell us what they think is going on, and I'll talk to Jim Davis about it. He helped out with this event too. He was one of the judges that helped us, so he was looking. I'm sure he was very curious because he knows Banks very well. He lives
I think
in
the
the
largest
Tri-Cities.
biomass in that lake is the lake whitefish. So
That's the
I
main
think that's
forage.
they eat a lot of that too for forage.
Yeah, I read that too.
Totally.
That's what
And
those
then,
walleye are eating.
Yeah. And then Jesse, didn't you catch a walleye at the southern end? And then I know Eddie caught like a 18-inch or 18-inch largemouth or so in that southern end too. And I was surprised to even see any down there. It was,
Mumford
pretty
hit that big 28 down there.
Okay.
Yeah. He fished down there in pre-fishing and right on the dam and caught that giant 28.
Okay. I know. Sorry, I might have said walleye. I meant largemouth too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Jesse, was one of your good ones a largemouth down there too? No.
I
Okay.
caught all
Smallmouth.
smallmouth and one walleye in each.
Okay, that
practice
gotcha.
and tournament.
Yeah, most of the
Okay.
largemouth seem to be in the middle to the north end of the lake, the upper third of the lake, let's say. Is where most of the largemouths, which is what we expect. I mean, that was in the write-up on the webpage. It kind of says that the largemouth tend to be more in the northern side.
Totally. Yeah. Osborne, Jones Bay. Yeah.
Yeah, Osborne for sure. And yeah, all of it up there. Even around Steamboat. That's where I caught a largemouth on Friday.
Okay.
And there were some there. Not a ton, but some. Brandon's inviting everybody to a big fish fry at Banks next week. So let's go. Bring the frying pans. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's see. I don't have much else left. The 50-50, we're kind of getting long on time, so I'm probably not going to bother with 50-50. It hasn't changed a lot. A few people have jumped in. I'll just say one quick thing about that. J.R. Rowlands jumped into the top 10. He dropped some fish, and he's popped in up there. Corey's still sitting on top. But, we're paying out 15 places on that. So you're not out of the running. You're certainly not. You might be out of the running to catch up with Corey. That's going to be a tall order to fill. But getting in the top 15 is doable, especially if you've already got some decent fish on the board. All you need to do is some upgrades, and you might just make it. To end it, I'm going to do a shout out to our sponsors. Of course, Snake River Manufacturing is our title sponsor this year. A big shout out to Steve up there. Diamond Parking and Diamond Self Storage is our presenting sponsor. Thanks to Jim Carey and Diamond for supporting us for multiple years now. Native Watercraft is one of our tour sponsors. We are giving away a Titan X 12.5 this year. Everybody who completed 3 or more tour events will get 3 tour events will get 1 entry in the drawing. If you fished 4 tour events, you'll get 2 entries. And if you fished all 5 of them, you'll get 3 entries. So pretty cool. You'll have a good shot at winning that kayak. I owned one for a couple years. Fantastic, super stable platform. Boggs Footwear is another one of our tour sponsors. They really helped support us this year, and they, in addition to supporting us as a tour sponsor, they donated a whole bunch of footwear to us. We've given away a couple of free pairs of shoes or boots at every event this year, and I've had samples that I've been showing off at the tour events, and we're giving those away at Pend Oreille. So if you're coming to Pend Oreille, you've got, like, if it fits you, you have a chance of winning that. But yeah, we'll have like 6 pair of Boggs at Pend Oreille to give away, which is pretty cool. Unless I save something for the Classic, I might save one of them. But we'll be giving some away at the Classic as well. Who else? Then we've got our media sponsor, Northwest Tackle. We couldn't have done the KFNW Current without them, and a lot of the other media-based stuff that we've been doing this year. And then our platinum gear sponsors, our 2 platinum gear sponsors, our biggest gear sponsors, NRS and G.Loomis, as we've been talking about tonight. So there it is, right on Jesse's shirt. Thanks so much to all of our sponsors for their support over the years and this year. We couldn't do this series without them. And a big thanks to you 4 guys for participating this year. I know it's tough with the travel that's involved in this regional series. It's tougher to get out there and hit multiple events like this. And with gas prices and inflation going up on everything, it's even harder. You know, I didn't know that when I decided to switch everything to this regional series. And it's unfortunate that it's been even more tough this year. But I really appreciate all of you for putting in the effort and making the drive to do it. Especially Scott came a little further than most. Scott and I probably came the furthest, but it wasn't close for many. None of you guys. You guys are all Western Washington guys, except Scott's an Idaho guy, and so none of you were like around the corner from there. Jordan's probably the closest. He's in Ephrata, so he's like, I don't know, maybe an hour away, something like that. And he did well. Well, thanks again. And hope to see you guys at Pend Oreille, and maybe see you back on the KFNW Current, depending on how you do there.
Maybe.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, Marvin. And big congrats to Jesse.
Thank you.
Well done.
Ditto. Congrats.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Bye.